It's late at night and you're out on the town in London visiting the city on a European vacation. You spent all day taking in the sights and now you're thinking you'll head to a real, authentic pub for a good old pint. But as you turn the corner on a narrow alley, a weird fog surrounds you and then dissipates just as quickly as it formed. When you can see again though, you realize that something is very, very strange. For one, the modern street lighting is gone, and in its place are oil lamps that barely light up the dingy cobbled streets you're now standing on. Panicking, you hurry along the narrow alley, desperately looking for something familiar. But then, you reach a dead end. Hearing a noise at the mouth of the alley behind you, you see a tall figure step out of the shadows, top hat on his head, and a dark cloak around his body. You can barely see a sinister smile and the flash of what looks like a surgical scalpel, and then it hits you. You've stumbled into 1888's London, England, and the figure standing before you is one of the most notorious serial killers in all history. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographics Show. Today we're asking, what if you came face to face with Jack the Ripper? Jack the Ripper terrorized London in 1888, where he was blamed for the murders of at least 5 women, though many people theorize that he actually killed many more. Of the 5 killings that were attributed to Dear Jack though, all 5 took place within a mile of each other, directly inside or near the Whitechapel district of London's East End, a notorious den of insidious deeds and men and women of ill repute. What made the killings unique though is the obvious anatomical expertise displayed by the killer, who often removed organs such as the kidneys or the uterus, and it was thought that Jack held a especially deep hatred for women. Taunting the police who searched desperately for him, Jack was suspected of having sent several letters to the police, though of those received, only one, entitled simply From Hell, is thought to have been authentic. Jack was never caught, and many people believe that he would go on to commit other murders, albeit none with his trademark anatomical expertise in full display. Others believe that Jack's rampage against 5 East London prostitutes was a one-time thing, as true serial killers typically continue to kill, and their ego demands that they be recognized for their crimes. Thus, it's believed if Jack was indeed responsible for many other murders blamed on him, then they too would have borne his hallmark removal of organs or displays of medical expertise. Whatever the truth is, only the 5 Whitechapel murders have ever officially been linked to Jack, and his identity remains a secret to this day. So you're stuck in 1888 and face to face with the deadly butcher of Whitechapel. What are you gonna do? Well, first, you should probably snap a picture on your cell phone, which we're assuming you had on you when you accidentally time traveled, because of course you did. Most people today won't even shower without their phone. So do the world a favor and before you become mincemeat, go ahead and snap a murder selfie with Jack so we can put this mystery of his identity to rest at last. Unfortunately though, for today's scenario, we're going to be taking that cell phone away and imagine that you're just an average East Londoner from 1888. You spent all day working at the dung farm or whatever peasants did back then, and you're out looking to blow some steam off with a nice pint when boom, you're Jack's next victim. Despite popular images of English gentlemen being foppish ballyhoos who spent all day drinking tea with their pinkies pointed out, the truth is that during the Victorian era, there was a rather robust movement amongst those who called themselves gentlemen for being physically fit. A 19th century manual on gentlemanly conduct states that a gentleman should be able to defend himself from ruffians if attacked, and also to defend women from their insults. Dunbar's Complete Handbook of Etiquette, written in 1884, goes on to state that it's a matter of the first importance for the young aspirant that he attend to the training and deportment of his body, as well as that of his mind. The body should be properly set by gymnastics, fencing, dancing, drill, or other physical exercises. Surprisingly, many Victorian-era men, or at least those who were not of the working poor, would place a strong emphasis on physical training, to include learning to box, fence, wrestle, jiu-jitsu, French savate or kickboxing, and our favorite, cane defense or parasol defense. That's right, Victorian-era gentlemen learned to defend themselves with a cane or a parasol, because a man is no man if he does not have a distinguished cane and parasol ready at all times to fend off rain and ruffians alike from the women on his arm. Known as Bartitsu, this uniquely British fighting style was developed by Edward Barton Wright, a British civil engineer who was one of the first Europeans to learn and teach Japanese martial arts. Combining his lessons in jiu-jitsu, karate, and other Asian martial arts, Barton created Bartitsu, centered around the use of a walking stick or a parasol to fend off ruffians. The technique became so popular that it even made its way to America, where it was valued as a self-defense technique to protect oneself from punches, knives, and even guns. So face to face with Jack the Ripper, you'd better hope you're not a stinking peasant and have had at least a middle-class upbringing and exposure to some of Victorian England's unique self-defense styles. Seeing as none of Jack's victims showed any damage from large weapons or guns, we're guessing that Jack and whatever he's armed with would be pretty short work for you if you're proficient in the gentlemanly art of Bartitsu. Which, by the way, totally needs to make a comeback because walking canes and parasols are pretty badass. But say you are in fact a dirt farming peasant and live a life far beneath the luxuries enjoyed by the upper crusts of society. You've had to grow up on streets, fend for yourself, and make ends meet any way you can. Lucky for you, the rebellious colonies across the sea have an answer: American rough and tumble fighting. This technique is far less an actual martial art discipline and more a naturally developed street fighting style that is exactly what it sounds like: rough and tumble. With a focus on cheap shots, low blows, eye gouges, and fish hooking. This is a technique of all-out survival and something that requires little more than brutish strength and an eye for striking at your opponent's most vulnerable areas. The eyes, for example, are wonderfully vulnerable, and a good eye gouging can temporarily blind an opponent. Let's see Jack cut you up with his surgical expertise when he's seeing stars, or nothing at all because you gouged one of his eyes out. Blows to the ears are also particularly effective, with a pressure center located directly 1 inch or so behind the ear that, if struck, has the power to instantly KO an opponent. That is a secret that has been passed on to America's modern military. But you have more than feet and hands, and rough and tumble fighting encourages the use of all of your assets to induce maximum pain. Your teeth are good for chewing, and the jaw muscles that power them are some of the strongest in your body. A good bite might not be the most sanitary thing in the world, but biting sensitive areas such as the groin, nose, ears, just ask Mike Tyson, or even hands can be crippling for an opponent. Your elbows are also wonderful striking surfaces and often much preferred to strike with over a closed fist, especially since most people, even professional boxers, simply don't know how to punch properly without breaking a finger or two. Just remember, the only rule here is survival, so claw, scratch, and bite your way to victory any way you can. Running into a face-to-face encounter with Jack the Ripper is going to be a perilous affair, but like any survival situation, in the end it's more about state of mind than physical or fighting prowess. An amateur who is able to get a handle on their fear can overcome even a trained opponent with pure savagery, while a well-trained professional can fall to pieces if nerves or fear gets to them. So get a grip on your fear, accept the fact that you're likely to experience some physical pain in the ensuing fight, and set your mind to causing far more damage than you receive. Or just run away. Every professional martial arts instructor will always recommend that you run whenever possible. Sure, maybe you'll bust out a few Jackie Chan moves and look like a regular Billy Badass in front of your buddies, but maybe also you'll end up dead on the ground with Jack cutting out your kidneys. If you run, you'll greatly reduce the possibility of the latter, so just go ahead and run away. But not before you snap a selfie with Jack so we can finally put the mystery of his identity to rest. What would you do if you came across Jack the Ripper? Let us know in the comments. Also, make sure you check out our other video, Why Jack the Ripper Was Never Found. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.